All right. Welcome everyone. Tellor Core Chat, April 7th, 2020. Um, yeah, fun, another fun week here in quarantine. Hopefully everyone is doing well, staying safe and um, yeah, we're kind of busy here like we always are working on Tellor, just from our home offices still. So, we'll get right into it. Kind of probably the big thing that was published last week as far as news is we published the V2 doc. So a lot of you guys have given us some helpful feedback. I know there's been a little bit of buzz on it, but you know, right in the title we say these are proposed, and that the real reason we say that is because we want your guys' feedback. We want to know what you guys think about kind of the crypto economic pieces in there and just some of the things that um, we can do to make it better. So probably in the tech call later this month, we'll actually I'll kind of give you guys a deep dive for an hour into some of the upgrades, but just read through it and think through it. They're relatively simple changes. We're not the big thing you'll notice about it is it's not like this wildly ambitious um outrageous V2 doc that promises, our own blockchain or instantaneous everything. Like, a lot of other projects put out these roadmaps that are just unrealistic. These are things that we're just working off of the same principles, things that we've learned over the past 6 months to a year, ways that we can make it faster, ways that we can make it more secure. They're not hard to understand. So even if you're not a developer, you can still go in there and take a look. So we definitely recommend you guys going to do that. Other things. So on the miner side, so the first piece, I'll be doing a pull request probably tomorrow. If you are running a mining pool and watching this, or thinking about running a mining pool, we're going to be supporting Stratum. Somebody took us up on the bounty. So for those of you who are like, what the hell is he talking about? Stratum's just simply like a standardized way to do mining pools. So we'll be kind of in the same sort of um, just our miner will allow you to do the same thing as a lot of the other miners. So if you're writing a pool, you'll be able to use Stratum. But also, if you're writing your own miner, we've run into some issues with people doing this. Be very, very careful. You don't want to submit bad values. You don't want, especially if you're doing a pool or something like that where you're handling other people's funds. Make sure you're careful and just reach out to us. We're happy to help review the code. We can help monitor addresses, things like that. We, especially as we're still in kind of this learning stage of a lot of new miners are coming on board and a lot of new kind of pools, even FPGAs are starting to come on board. If you're doing one of these things, or just make sure you just try and reach out to us if you have any questions. We're not going to publish it or use it as a press release. We just want people to come to us, and we want to build the best system possible. So that's about it. Other things kind of on the bounties. We had 2 other bounties done this past week. One, there was a Dune analytics dashboard that was created. So we'll share it. I think Mike is supposed to tweet that out at some point. So we'll tweet it out,
Yes.
post on the channel. It's a pretty cool thing. You can view the difficulty in the system. You can view the number of miners. You can view some of the pieces. And if you want other stats on Tellor, you can go build it in there or request it from us. We can, it's not too hard. So we can put other things in there if you would want. Also, if you are using the Tellor API, so we have a Tellor REST API for just getting prices off of the system. We're going to be beefing it up big time, but we also just redid some of the API documentation. So go have a look if you want to go build something just kind of off-chain using Tellor, or a cool way to look at Tellor. It's easier than ever. And lastly, on those bounties, guys, take us up on them. If you're a developer and you guys have some free time, or we want people just to do simple hacks. We don't necessarily need you to be rewriting our mining software or doing some big thing. Like, just write a program using Tellor and let us know your experience. And other pieces as well. If you guys, as you guys probably know, we love educational content. We've put out bounties for people to write articles and videos, do tutorials, anything, just because, as you guys have realized, probably if you've been to any of these calls, kind of our biggest hurdle in this whole space is just how do we get people to understand the need for decentralization? How do we get people to understand kind of our vision for the space and how all of it should work? And that's just an education piece. Whenever you talk to a lot of these, especially younger projects who are doing these DeFi, brand new flashy DeFi things, they just don't get why oracles are important necessarily until they've already built their system. So, just getting out there, making good content, making stuff that's easy to digest, and just kind of hammering home that same message of, decentralization is important, and we're not going to use your centralized DeFi app. Like the more we can do that, the more we win, and that's a community effort. So hopefully you guys can get on board with it. And lastly, kind of in conjunction with that community effort, Tellor.fund. So let us know some ideas you guys want to do. What do you guys want us to fund? Podcast series, YouTube reviews, let us know. We wanted that because we wanted to give you guys a voice in what you guys want to see funded. So yeah, definitely reach out to us with any of those.
Yeah, we designed that to be a community generated endeavor. We just, we built something simple for you guys to use. And I don't think it really should come from us, but we will contribute too. Like we said before, if it's something that everybody wants, and we're more than happy to be members of the community ourselves and contribute. Cool. We have a AMA tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern, with Bicky Exchange. So stay tuned for that. I think I think we've posted information about it. If not, I can post information about what Telegram group that'll be in after the call. And I think we're going to be doing another AMA next week with Bitcoin Brown. So I haven't scheduled that yet, but that should be coming up next week.
Cool. So yeah, I think that's kind of it for the updates. It's just another week. We've got some exciting stuff coming to you guys next week. So
we what I could mention, since we started a new month, community growth this month has been really great. We've been pretty steady the last 3 to 4 months with similar numbers, growing Telegram by 335 new members this month. Twitter followers, we increased by 577. And it's been like that or more for the last few months. So keep it up. The momentum has been going really good. Let's jump into the questions. We're going to try to be a little bit faster with the questions if we can. There was a lot. There was like 39 this time. So let's just jump right into it. Number 1, are you guys taking part in the DeFi Discussions virtual conference? Yes, we are. We just signed a sponsorship contract today. So we will be, we're going to be sponsoring, and we're going to be doing, Nick will be doing a 20-minute session on a certain topic. We're still hashing that out, but we all really look forward to that. And we hope you guys buy a ticket and show up for us. Number 2, regarding V2, will 5x the blocks mean 5x the inflation?
No, you just have to reduce it. So yeah, we'll be keeping the inflation the same. The block rewards will just go down. It's just going to be a balancing act. That's one of the things you have to think about, because you want each block reward. The block reward always has to be higher than the gas price. So, if you assume like the price cuts in half for instance, and then the block reward also gets divided by 5, like you can run into some issues there. So we're sort of, we need to play it safe when it comes to some of the price movements and things like that. So we'll see how we can potentially put that in as far as making it variable, so that way it's not just solely reliant on tips to make sure these things get pushed through. So
good stuff. Okay, next question is V2, the Gossip Network, Tellor Scan Refresh, anything else on the horizon? I think it's a pretty great roadmap right there, those 3 things, because the V2 is not a small thing, and the Gossip Network is not a small thing. Neither is Tellor Scan. We could see that coming a lot sooner. I mean, we have anything else further beyond that is still in the I don't know. Next question: how much salary are you taking? I'm guessing this question has to be directed towards you, Nick. So I'm not part of this.
Yeah. So. No, I'm an American. I got out of the government, so I don't have to disclose this anymore. No, we obviously somewhere in the range of, $10,000 a year to several million, based upon the dev share. So it's, we take enough to make sure that we keep it going. Obviously, you guys know we run off of the dev share now, so it's not, we're not really taking outside investors. We're crazy lean. And yeah, that's kind of, you guys can take a guess based upon all of our expenses off of the small dev share that we sell every month. So
that's it, it's there's no other form of revenue on top of that, so we have to be careful with what we do, and at the same time we want to make sure that we stay full-time at this as well. So next question: is there a need for blockchain tools for working with encrypted data or data?
Yeah, I mean, obviously people are working on it. I think, the whole ZK snarks thing is really cool. But it's, so privacy sort of goes hand in hand with censorship resistance in my mind. So you have sort of these pseudo-anonymous accounts on Ethereum, but you ultimately need privacy. If you're going to have true censorship resistance or true kind of decentralization, you ultimately do want privacy, and it's something that the whole space is sort of working on getting, because if you can think about your Bitcoin, like the whole reason that you would want Bitcoin over our money is because nobody can confiscate it. But if your identity is tied to your Bitcoin address and everybody and the U.S. government knows exactly where to find you, it's probably not much help to you. So you sort of need those things if the dream of kind of cryptocurrency is going to take off. Like that was like the original Bitcoin tagline, back in 2011, 2012. It's like it's anonymous, fast, and free. It's the best internet money ever. And it was back then, and now it's sort of gone away. But hopefully you can bring that back, and then it's just once you can bring that kind of those taglines back, it's so exciting to tell people, and hopefully we can get back there at some point.
Preach on, brother. Next question: is cross-chain communication overrated? My initial, in the present circumstances, it is, because there's not much going on sidechain. So,
well, is that because it's limited from communication? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's cross-chain communication, like usually if you put other assets onto different chains, the problem with it always is that the weakest link sort of wins. So if you put a whole bunch of Bitcoin on Ethereum, it gets, now can your Bitcoin, if Ethereum blows up, is Bitcoin compromised? And You know, if you put a bunch of ether on some really shitty side chain, like what are you risking? And cross-chain communication can help, but it's, you know, you sort of, it's fine if it's slower and more disparate. It just makes a little bit more sense and sort of keeps people from doing things that, you know, everyone wants Bitcoins and everything trading on DEXs on Ethereum, but it just, the whole security model breaks down when you do that.
Do you have any podcast appearances coming up?
Not that I know of.
No podcasts in particular scheduled. I'm sure we have another Blockchain Brad interview coming up, which is not exactly a podcast, but we can't wait to speak with him again. But yeah, if you guys, anybody has any podcast that maybe we haven't heard of, feel free to shill us and let us know who you want us to reach out to. What are your favorite crypto wallets?
So I think we all use MetaMask. And then I think we actually, as a team, if you guys are familiar with Maltese, Maltese it's a front-end interface for the Gnosis multi-sig wallet. So it allows you to have, you know, you can have 2 of 3 signatures necessary to spend, and or N of N signature. So it's really flexible. It's a super clean interface. So shout out to those guys. Give it a try if you have something.
And if anybody out there has ever used a Keep Key, let me know if this is worth opening. It's been sitting on my desk for a month. If you weren't building a crypto company, what kind of company would you build?
Mike?
Oh
yeah.
You're gonna say only crypto.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's always tough. Like, no, I like doing this. It's kind of my first company.
Arm wrestling.
Yeah, this is my first company building, so you know it's been really exciting. Obviously, there's a lot of, you know, I came from a little bit of the financial background, so maybe something in there, but it just definitely doesn't have the same kind of feel to it as crypto. You know, it's always really nice whenever you have something that you can sort of be philosophical about. It's not just a job, and that's what I love kind of about the whole space. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what I would be doing if it wasn't this. But Mike, you'd be building banjos. This would be.
Well, that's definitely like on my bucket list, is to have like a woodworking shed where I can build banjos. My uncle used to make banjos, and so he still works on them. He tinkers now, but he's been promising to teach me, but I can see myself doing that. I don't know if that's really a company as much as I'm retired kind of thing. I think my answer would be I would try to build like an esports team or something like that, which I think would be really cool. Also another cutting edge industry in entertainment. Next question. Are execution environments helpful? ETH2 research.
I don't know. I don't know enough about the topic to really give a cogent opinion. So
okay. Moving on. Sorry about that one, guys.
Yeah, send me a link. We'll look into it.
Yeah. Are you guys buying TRB off the open market to accumulate in your personal portfolios? # conviction. I don't understand the hashtag there.
Yeah, no, I mean,
no, not.
So you know, my income sort of comes from Tellor, so it's one of those things like whenever you have already all of your eggs in one basket, you don't need to buy more. It's just diversifying risk. I mean, even I personally, you know, I don't even buy too much crypto. You know, I have some crypto holdings, but it's just, you know, you want to sort of diversify your risk, because you never know what's going to happen. It's, you know, we have families, and you gotta make sure that um, you spread out the risk, because I think, as everyone's realized over this past month, it's really hard to tell what assets are going to go up and which ones are going to go down. So
Yeah. We got a question in the chat, so we'll jump to this one from Sinner. Question about the alternate chain. I'm under the assumption that users will be able to pay using their native token when requesting data feeds from Tellor. I'm also under the impression that new TRB cannot be minted on an alternate chain. If TRB is not required for this use case, what would be the use case of TRB an alternate chain other than just for staking, in which case, what would incentivize validators to even do this?
sure. So the way that we have it set up now, you still have to request with TRB. Like, similar now, you even on Tellor, you have to tip with TRB, but it's sort of trivial to create an ETH to TRB instant tip. So we have one available in using Tellor. So we have a user contract that's out on mainnet now. You can add a tip with ETH. You send ETH, it gets the price of TRB from our contracts, and then throws it over there to tip. And this is just a way to sort of incentivize tipping, and it allows people to pay for ETH. It's trivial to sort of make the conversion, especially if somebody's willing to kind of just have that contract up there. So that's how it would be. So people would still be tipping in TRB. You'd also be staking on the alternate chain in TRB. So there would be kind of two use cases right there. So yeah, it would be, and then kind of how you incentivize validators. It's one of those things, like, you're going to need some demand over there to incentivize validators, and that's what we're hoping we can get. You know, it's going to be an interesting use case whenever you start just assume that people are going to pay for their own requests. So.
Okay. Let us know if you have any further questions about that. Okay, next one is big. This is not a question. It's a shout out to Elastos community members. Big welcome to the new Elastos community members. I'll echo that statement. Next one is great job with the Tom Heavey interview, Mike. Thank you. It's good to hear that. I need that feedback. I'm very self-critical. So thanks for enjoying it. Appreciate it. Next one is how do we build the Tellor brand? Spreading awareness, sharing, and also for each one of you guys, the more you come to these calls and the more questions you ask, the smarter you are and the more educated you are about who we are, what we do, and why we, the better an evangelist for Tellor you are. And I think as the community grows, so does the brand.
Yeah, and I think it also comes down to just keeping it as pure as possible, you know, like making Tellor stand for something more, in my mind.
That's a really good point, because you
know,
can
like,
dilute the brand by trying to be too much, and then no one really knows what you are.
Yeah, well, you know, like, we've talked about this before, like, what are some of the brands that you love? And it's, you know, like, you think like Tesla, for instance, and it's like, yes, it's a car, but it stands for so much more. It's like a status symbol. It's a you save the environment symbol. It's a you like Elon Musk symbol. Like, you know, it just stands for something beyond what it actually is, what the company actually is or does. And, you know, I think Tellor, if it can stand for something beyond, like, you know, projects that are using Tellor, like, it means, you know, that's like a stamp of, you know, a philosophical alignment. Like that
Exactly.
that would be what I want. And I think just growing that kind of brand, it's a little bit tougher to do, but it's that's where you want, whenever you people hear your brand, you don't necessarily, you want them to think about what product you build, but you want it to sort of instill this idea behind it. So
Are you guys into cars?
no.
I don't think any of us are really that into cars.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I get Motor Trend magazine for free because I'm a car show and signed up for a free year. And so they've been sending those. And so I read them. I think they're cool, but I never really worked on cars growing up or anything like that. Didn't have the money to do it, so. Could Tellor be acquired? Would you want that? Yeah, sure, we could be acquired. Would we want that? Really, I mean, gosh, that's a really, it depends scenario. Um, Ideally, we wouldn't want that if things went the way we would want them to go. And this thing becomes bigger and better than any sort of being acquired would do for us. And then the network is sort of off and running on its own, and no one could acquire it. And even if they did, you know, at that point, what is the equity even doing?
Yeah, I mean, because there's sort of two pieces to Tellor. There's like, or probably three. There's like the network of people itself. There's the token, and then there's, you know, the equity and kind of the corporation of Tellor Incorporated here in the U.S. And the value is sort of mainly in the community, actually. You know, if the community leaves the coin, there's no value. If the community leaves, you know, away from Tellor Inc., there's, you know, there's not like IP or something we could resell. It's so, you know, it's you guys. It's everybody who sort of agrees that Tellor has value, and it's everyone who kind of helps make Tellor what it is. That's the real value of all of these decentralized networks. That's where the value comes from. So any sort of acquisition, it's sort of meaningless on the surface. So
Yeah. Let it be known that Hero is a Witnet ship and has been blessing them with memes instead of Tellor. Shame. Wasted meme making talent. So I think this is, I don't know if this is serious or not, but more power to DeHero and any memes he wants to make for Witnet. He has our blessing, but we do hope he also makes more memes for Tellor as well.
yeah, we like Witnet as far as other projects go. So
Yeah, exactly.
At least it's Witnet.
Make them exactly.
Yeah, they need more memes there. So
They do. Yeah. How many Link Marines are closet Tellurians? Could be a lot and growing.
yeah.
I think it's a rhetorical question.
What is this going to be, like a coming out of the closet meme? You can.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Honey, I'm a Tellurian. No. These weekly calls are basically media training practice for you guys. Agree? I never thought of it that way. I suppose for sure. This is, I guess you could call this public speaking. No, but our intention behind this is to give you guys a chance to engage with us on a weekly basis. You know.
Yeah, we just want it to be open. You know, that's why we answer every single question. We're not trying to hide behind anything. We're not trying to. It's really hard. A lot of other projects, you know, we always wanted to be as open as possible, because a lot of other projects, they just hide behind this layer of secrecy, almost pretending like there's some Fortune 500 company that you know, has everything running great and they have 1 million users and everything like that, and it's just a giant shell game, and a lot of the space is just these big things that don't mean anything, and that's the opposite of what we want. You know, we want actual users and actual supporters who understand what it is actually. You know, we want you guys to understand what our product is. We don't want you guys to, you know, just go shill whatever, you know, you think that people want to hear. So yeah.
Yep. And know as much about us and know everything we are and everything we aren't, you know.
Yeah,
we're busy, but we're never going to be too busy for you guys.
No, and I mean, hopefully it becomes less of us talking. I think as we go on in the future, we'd love to have other people who are building things, you know, come on, and that would be cool with us. You know, we want these calls to be about everything Tellor. So if anybody wants to be on, let us know. If you guys just want to chat.
Yeah, it would be great if it was more interactive in the future too,
Yeah.
where there's more people contributing and involved in the calls. Does anyone in the team play poker? Other than like your occasional college games, no, not a serious poker player.
Yeah, not. I mean, I've played
Nick,
in the
did you
past.
play a lot in school? Yeah.
I played a little bit after college, but it wasn't, just a little bit online here and there. So
when Texas Hold'em got really, really popular in the
Yep.
early 2000s, like everybody was playing it. So of course we all did. How can we more effectively poach Witnet and Bands communities? I mean, we're not asking anybody to poach anything. But I think we have a lot in common. I think what I would suggest is that everybody in Tellor, join their communities, be involved with them. The more you learn about them, the more you'll know about oracles. You'll understand about the space, and a better community member you'll be for us. I think there's plenty to go around, and as I'm sure all you guys know, none of us are only in one channel on Telegram. We all are part of a lot of communities, probably too much. So
yeah, and I mean, like our challenge in the space is not Witnet and Band. It's it's these, it's people using these centralized oracles. It's just educating people on like how to use a decentralized oracle. What are the pros and cons of using a decentralized oracle? And once you can sort of talk to these projects, like if Witnet and Band, if they have a good community of even you guys that are pushing them, hey, push out good content and push out, be honest about what it is, that helps us more than anything in the world. It's just, you just have to educate the whole space that, once the whole space is educated enough that decentralized oracles are a thing, and if you're using a centralized oracle, you should kind of be sort of chastised for that. Like once that's the case, then we really have a game plan going forward. But it's really tough whenever you see a lot of these protocols that just put in a centralized oracle and their users don't care. And that's what we're trying to change, and that's what we need your
help. So if you're gonna hang out anywhere Nick is referring to and annoy them about their oracle. What do you think of exchanges with mining pools offering TRB staking? So you're obviously referring to Bicky, who we're going to do an AMA with, and they listed us, and they're offering staking if you deposit. There's sort of deposit rewards for bringing your TRB over there. Our official stance for all this is use a centralized exchange at your own risk, and or not recommend doing that.
Yeah, I think
that said, I think that they've been really nice to work with, and we've talked to them a lot through the listing, and we're going to be doing an AMA. So everything seems to be on the up and up with them, but they're a new exchange. So do your own research.
Yeah, and then I think with the staking piece, it's just anytime you have exchanges that are staking and taking part in any sort of governance or validation, it can always be dangerous. This is sort of the fear with proof of stake networks in general. It's like, who's going to run the ETH network who's the biggest holders of ETH, and it's the exchanges. The exchanges hold the vast majority of these cryptocurrencies, and you could see that being a problem for us if the biggest, the exchanges basically run your program. It can lead to some centralization concerns, and there's a few pieces in kind of the V2, if you look at it, to kind of make, if there are larger miners, they have to stake more. So hopefully that can help do it, and we do have the proof of work element, which also helps as well. But yeah, anytime exchanges take part in governance decisions, it can be scary. So you just have to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, good point.
Or don't put your money on centralized exchanges. Yeah. Keep it in your own wallet.
Realize when you put it on a centralized exchange, it's not really
it's not yours. They can vote with it. They can do whatever they want. And that's the big fear with a lot of it. So,
do you have a partnership with D-Force? No, we don't. But we have a relationship with them. We're speaking with them, and we think they're cool. Really, we're actually really impressed with them in our conversations. They're a smart project, good guys, but nothing official. You guys know our stance on partnerships. You'll know,
or you won't,
and you'll yeah, exactly. Eventually, maybe not.
Yeah.
Next one is another statement. I think I know who all these statements are coming from. His name starts with a P. Shield the Gitcoin grant round, guys. So the Gitcoin grant round is over. I think today it ended. So thanks if any of you guys contributed. I know a couple people did. We shared it. I don't know. I think we didn't want to really shill it too much. It wasn't something that we were go around and it was kind of something we did because we had already had this sort of account on Gitcoin for it, and we thought, well, hey, it can't hurt, and it could we wanted to support other Gitcoin grantees from Consensus who were also asking for things, and so we sort of got involved a little bit, and so we're happy with the results that we got. We aren't really looking for much anyway, but thanks for everybody who shared the news about that. Maybe next round we'll be more desperate. How do projects raise money nowadays with the SEC breathing down their necks? I don't know. We're not experts in raising money.
Yeah.
I think the trouble is if you go, we're not.
If you go the route of, the big thing the SEC is trying to stop is kind of token sales to U.S. customers. No. And the big thing is that, and there's a rightful reason. So if you saw what happens, so we had a token, and so I'll tell you how the vast majority of tokens projects work. Obviously speaking, not about any specific projects, but the way they work nowadays is VCs come on board in a giant pre-sale. They buy up a whole lot of the tokens, and then they dump them on investors on the ICO date. And this is the exact thing that the SEC is supposed to prevent. This is good because a lot of times, you see so many ICOs, IEOs, where the token price is at an all-time high the day of the ICO or IEO. And it's just, that's the way it's structured. The teams don't make that much money off of it. Sometimes they make a decent amount of money, but it just, it sets up everybody for failure. You have a bunch of bag holders. And these just aren't good things. And the projects are shaky at best when it comes to the technology. They're launching at $10-20 million valuations on just, proof of concepts, basically. They don't even know if they can build them. So the SEC is meant to stop this kind of thing because the SEC is sort of charged with investor protection here in the US, and it's almost good that they do. I'm all for keeping the space clean, just because we've done, we can just be honest, we've all done an awful job at self-policing all of this stuff. The space sort of lets it run rampant and buys into it still. So make sure that, it's not difficult. If you're an honest project, yeah, it is difficult to raise money, but it's always been difficult to raise money. The only reason there was a time in brief 2017, 2018, where it was easy to raise money with a token project was because it was basically scams and investors getting taken advantage of. So, raising money is naturally hard and difficult. And that's kind of always been the case. It's not like anything's new. So Yeah, that's what rant
And
over.
from the other side of the coin, I was talking with a couple of VCs, some larger, well-known VC companies at East Denver, and they're trying to figure out how to invest, in the post-ICO era, and so they're trying to figure it out too, like how they're going to make this work. And so they're all in internal discussions with themselves amongst all the different VCs, like how can we make this work? What kind of investment products can they invent? They have to kind of reinvent everything with crypto. So it's not just a problem for the projects themselves, it's actually a problem for VCs. Okay, so next one is Chainlink weak in Asia. I don't know if they're weak in Asia. I don't keep up with Asia.
Asia's opinions of Chainlink.
Yeah. What are your favorite exchanges? I love the UX or the UI of Radar Relay and the look of it. I thought it was refreshing to use that.
Yeah, I always like. We like that. Dex Blue is one that I like using a lot. They're friends of our community. And then I love Radar Relay. I love a lot of the relayers that, you don't have to deposit something on their exchange. Because that's always nice. And then, yeah, we kind of use Dexes. And then, Coinbase is obviously really cool for getting people started. That's the one I always point people to. It's always the easiest. So that's about it.
Is anyone on your team currently invested in other projects, or have they previously? Basically, are you playing VC on the other side?
No. Bitcoin and Ethereum are my holdings.
I mean, I still hold some shit coins from back in the day and some various other crypto, but nothing. Yeah, I'm not playing VC for sure.
Playing bag holder.
Yeah. When Tellor merge? Lovely question. We were actually just talking about this internally.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah, we'd love to. I actually just I need to get a follow back from a local printer, apparel printer here. I've talked to a couple of people that reached out that do like crypto shirts online or whatever, but we might go local for this. Yeah, we'd love to do a couple of short runs of some shirts and put them up online. Maybe get like 30 of a couple of different styles and just see how it goes. Apologize for that. One thing we don't want to do is get stuck with a lot of t-shirts in boxes somewhere behind me. But we'd be excited to make some shirts and sell them. We would probably need to do like a poll to get like an idea of, could we just do all mediums? Like, because it gets really difficult when you need to have all the different sizes available. You can imagine having that kind of stock, and we're not a t-shirt company. These are things that we don't want to spend too much time worrying about. So I don't know, let us know what you guys want on a shirt and we'll see if we can make it happen. And any artists out there too, because a lot of the fees for these shirts, if you have any design work or custom artwork, and it goes through the roof. So if we showed up to a shirt company and we had everything already done, like our logo, which is already obviously done, it's pretty affordable to just order like 50 shirts and put them up online. So, yep, get those memes over to me. Are you guys skeptical of blockchain for enterprise? I think skeptical is really skeptical of it. I think sometimes like our first reaction is, we hope that crypto, renders enterprises obsolete in some regards, right? I don't know, Nick, you could probably go off for a long tangent on this one, but I don't know if we need to.
Yeah, no, it's just,
it really depends.
You have to see where it makes sense to use a blockchain and where sometimes it can, but a lot of times people, you had the era of, the last 5 years where enterprises are trying to shoehorn one in to look innovative, and a lot of the use cases just didn't make sense. So I think we're still a ways away from seeing it actually make sense for enterprises. So.
Yeah, and I guess there's, for me, in my mind, there's a huge difference between permission blockchains and open networks, and so they're almost like two different worlds in my mind. Is Interaxis still working on a new Tellor vid? Yes, they are. I think that they're still editing it. It was they sent us some of the rough cut or the uncut. It was very lengthy, so they're still working on it. And I think these guys aren't really doing this full time, and so let's just be patient with them. But I'll see where they're at on it and get back to you guys. What do you think of Binance's mining pool plans? So for those of you who don't know, Binance pool is coming out in 2 weeks. I don't have a huge opinion on it. I think it would be exciting to see them taking part in our network. So I think they're looking into it. I think they're going to be doing BTC first, and then a month later or somewhere else, they're going to be doing other coins. So it's still a ways away for them to use or to mine TRB, but we will definitely look into it. Can you tell much about a project from its GitHub? What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, definitely. So, GitHub 101 as far as looking at projects. So just go click on a GitHub, any of them, and the first thing you can see, is it active? So if there's no code, that means it's probably all closed source, just run away. Or B, a lot of projects you'll see, even big projects with, $50 million market caps, they haven't had a push in a year. This just means it's a dead project. Nobody's really developing on it, unless they have a different repo or something that they're doing. But so those are the basics, and then other than that, just look at kind of their activity. What a lot of times you can see what they're working on. Obviously, just pushing to GitHub and making sure that you have a lot of activity, that doesn't mean you'll be a successful project, but you can do just some basic due diligence, did they just fork this code, for instance? So you can look and see that was one of the big ones. A lot of times projects would simply fork Ethereum's code and launch. Was there one developer who did that? That's bad. You want to see, a few different developers. You want to see just a timeline, and so you can't necessarily tell.
Is the project still alive?
Yeah, you can't tell exactly how good you can't tell that the code is good or anything like that, or any of the details of the project, but you can at least tell some basics and do some due diligence, so don't get caught with a dead project.
Is anyone on the team good at trading? I feel like me personally, I was a terrible trader because I just had too much anxiety about it. Making the decision to buy or sell in a moment was something I was never good at doing. I loved looking at reading the tea leaves in the charts. And Nick, I'm sure you'll make fun of me for that, but that was my favorite part of it, was just the TA, but none of that, that was probably just because it's easier and more fun to do that than it is to make actual real trading decisions. And that was just not my forte.
No, I'm of the firm belief that anybody that tells you that they're a good trader is probably not a good trader. So it's
yeah. Why would you be selling your book or your ebook or your I don't know, your trading group if you were really good at trading, you would be just like chilling on a yacht somewhere.
No, well, like
You
that,
know?
some of the best, like the best trading firm over the past, 30 years was like Renaissance. They're a fund and they're completely closed source. They don't even allow outside money because they're actually good at it. So they don't have to rely on anything else. Um, most other people, they rely on like weird schemes to keep them going. And it's just,
Yeah.
yeah, like, and then especially in this space, you see it all the time. Like everyone's like, I'm a phenomenal trader, I've been doing great over the last year, and then they like turn 25 and experience a bear market, and then their portfolio goes to 80% down, and luckily, like, you saw a lot of that, but it's still just amazing in the space how many people, like, they're still continuing to act like they're phenomenal traders even like after crypto like wiped them out over the last 2 years. So
Anyway, are you guys a fan of central bank digital currencies?
no.
I guess I would say I'm a fan of them as just as much as I would be a fan of fiat currency.
Yeah, I mean, we get into a long argument, like, a lot of people have talked about like, well, you could just, like, right now, the Fed discount window, who's able to access loans from the Fed and who's able to sort of actually initiate money transfers through the Fed is, the 12 regional banks. And you could theoretically have an API that opens it up to everyone, and we could all actually have accounts at the Fed and all experience the same interest rates and things like that. And those ideas, maybe they're a little bit more democratic and they're a little bit cooler to me. So I'd love to see them actually experimenting around with that. But right now it looks like a lot of the central bank the digital currency designs are just like watered down versions of, the dollar, basically. It gives them a little bit more control into each bank rather than sort of democratizing access to the Fed itself, which would be cool. So
Here's a big one. How will the coronavirus reshape the world?
Oh man, do I get to go on a rant on this one? This is
No, we have 4 minutes and 2 more questions after this.
Yeah, so I think um, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Like, I think you have, like, not to get too political with it, but the Fed they started buying corporate bonds, which is huge. We're like one step away from the Fed starting to buy equities, and we could have another crisis in place. And like, in my mind, like, you had this mass hysteria, and it's continuing to lead to just everybody just sort of accepts everything. So you had this gigantic bailout bill, which is bigger than anything ever in the world, get through the US Senate, like 96-0 vote. Like, everyone's just like, push it through really fast. And we're still figuring out what's in it. And it's just going to lead to issues. I mean, eventually you'll have the Fed, you're going to have a bunch of companies go bankrupt, and you're actually just going to probably have the Fed have to bail them out either through loans, buying their corporate bonds, or eventually equities. So it's like interesting, because I could see like a world where we eventually get like socialized medicine, where the government owns all healthcare solely because the Fed has to buy up all the equity of all the hospitals, or all of these companies. We have nationalized airlines because the Fed actually just owns all of it. Yeah, it's like it's not the socialism that we want. It's like, it's not the democratic fund socialism. It's like the authoritarian Federal Reserve that owns all of the equity. And that's my fear with it. I hope it doesn't, hopefully we can just get out of it, and we have a blip of 5% inflation, and then we're back in the same place. But those are some of my fears that I hope that we can avoid, and sort of just make sure that we make rational responses to some of these things because I really think, like, with every good crisis you have, like the last time you had like mass hysteria of the people, you had like 9/11, and then like everyone was fine with the Patriot Act being pushed through, and the war in Iraq, even though it had nothing to do with 9/11. And what's going to be this one? We're going to nationalize something, we're going to have equity, we're going to give the Fed more access. I don't know what kind of the Iraq war of this crisis will be. So anyway, rant over.
My positive theory about how it's going to reshape the world is we're all going to be so much healthier after this, because So they say it takes 2 months to form a new habit. So I feel like worldwide, we're all going to create habits for washing your hands that will continue on like any habit would. And so after this, just everybody will have better hygiene and get less sick from normal things. So that's my theory. So does the virus make it hard to communicate as a team? I'd say we communicate just about exactly the same, other than not going to the office as much, but we do a lot of Zoom calls already.
Yeah, we're on here twice a day.
Telegram. Yeah. So it's pretty much the same for us. Last questions for me. Mike, can you tell us more about your time working in film and video game industries? Sure. You can search my name on IMDb, and you could see what movies I was involved in. So go ahead and do that. For those of you guys that are League of Legends fans, you guys might remember back in the day, there was when League of Legends first started, there was the IGN Pro League. So those are at the time, the biggest esports events ever held. So we broke some records. I was the director of the broadcast for the League of Legends IGN Pro League events. So that was like we did a few of those, and those were amazing. I miss those days, but a few other things, going to E3 and that kind of stuff. But I don't want to waste any more time like all that, but thanks for the question. And if anybody wants to know more, feel free to ping me about it. Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone for coming. We shall see you guys all next week. So
next week's another core chat.
Yep. Talk to you guys soon. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.